Hello, my name is Dr. Ron Darnell. In this presentation is an introduction to central tendency. At the end of this session, you will be able to define central tendency, explain central tendency conceptually, and describe some benefits of using central tendency. Central tendency in statistics is a term used to describe the way in which a grouping of data cluster around a central value. It's a statistic that describes the central value for a grouping of data or a probability distribution. Instead of starting with a focus on how to calculate measures of central tendency, which we'll get to later, I'm going to go with a slightly different approach. My philosophy is to help you intuitively grasp statistics by focusing on concepts. So consequentially, I'm going to start by illustrating the central point of several data sets graphically so that you understand the goal. The three images above are representations of different data conditions. The image at the top left is a histogram of symmetric continuous data. It makes that familiar bell curve shape that we're all used to. The image in the middle is a histogram of skewed continuous data. As you can see, there are outliers out to the right in the 16,000 to somewhere around the 96,000 area. These outliers pull the mean towards the right. The third, the one on the very right, is a histogram of categorical data. And in this instance, it's the categories of flavors of ice cream. You can look at the region where each most common values fall. And I've highlighted those with the red circles. And you can see that the most frequent numbers tend to be around the center of the distribution, except for the categorical data, and it's always the highest bar. Even though the shapes of the data are different, you can observe the central area where the most common values are located. Measures of central tendency represent this concept. Central tendency is useful in business. It lets us know what's normal or average for a set of data. It also condenses the data set down to one representative value, which is useful when comparing large amounts of data. Could you imagine how difficult it would be to describe the central location of a 1,000-item data set if you had to analyze each number individually? It's also useful when we want to compare one data item to the entire data set. And it allows us to compare one set of data to another. Let's say you earned a 60% increase in sales over the year, which is very good. But you go to a business conference and you find that the average for your industry is 40%. Well, in this instance, you could assume that you're doing much better than the others in your industry. Or through the comparison, you may want to look in to find out why there's such a gap. There's a 20-point gap between yours and the industry. So this would be a good indicator that you want to do some more investigation. In this session, we define central tendency in statistics. We discuss the conceptual purpose and use of central tendency, and we discuss some benefits of using central tendency. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next presentation.